Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Algorand, see what's going on. Of course, is a request from one of my community members. Thank you so much for requesting I cover this. Now, big picture in Algorand, we're going to have to take a look at previous past and kind of previous highs, lows, and kind of identify what its average true range is. Once again, based on volume and the overall sense of where the price action likes to kind of hang out. Those are things that are important to understand when you go into an analysis, because just looking at the hourly or the 4 hour, for example, isn't enough data in some cases, especially with all the stuff that's going on with Bitcoin right now. Okay, so I think it's important to look at that. And if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I really just hope you can learn something here today. I love teaching people how to trade. And generally speaking, if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. I offer a trading academy, community, and signal group. I share signals for every single trade that I take, as well as a simple fact that you can learn how to become a better trader through that. All right, so check that out in your own time again, CryptoCache.tech. So here's kind of where we're at. So obviously on the daily, we can see that we're up today. It's like a good 15 to 20% increase from yesterday or today's open, essentially, especially if you consider yesterday's low. So it wicked all the way down to 34 cents. And what we want to do is kind of see, first of all, if that's like a major key level support or resistance area, and obviously where the average true range is. So if we look at here, we can see in just say back from September all the way through December of, basically that's a year and a half almost, just as a rough estimate, 1.5 years, the price spent the most time between 10 and 70 cents, okay? So that's kind of, you could say its average true range. If we look at its volume, we can see it spent the most amount of volume time. In other words, we have the most amount of people feeling like that's a good value, and the price that they're willing to pay this much on average is 30 cents, okay? So with us bouncing off 34 cents yesterday, that's a very, very good sign, kind of telling us that the bottom is in. Again, no guarantees on that. But again, but also understand too that that the bottom is tentatively in for Bitcoin for the moment. We're anticipating Bitcoin slowly increase over the next few days or perhaps even weeks in order to retest its trend line. Okay, but again, very similar situation here with Bitcoin in the sense that it came all the way down to a key level support. It bounced off of a kind of a volume area, and now it's kind of in a recovery mode. But just keep in mind, of course, today's recovery also is that knee-jerk reaction to 5 strong days to the downside. You look at the highest to the lowest point. Algorand dropped 60% in only 6 trading days. That's a lot of trading, or a lot of. It's a very significant loss, if you will, especially if you got in around that point. And honestly, I actually got in somewhere in the range of I think it was in the 70 cent range recently, expecting Algorand to continue, but Bitcoin sold off so hard that we saw this happen, okay? So be aware of the fact that Bitcoin is controlling this still, even though it's kind of like an exaggerated form of it, it's still influencing it. All right, so just kind of keep that in your mind. But taking a look here, of course, we can see the MACD is starting to lose momentum here, potentially. We might have hit that plateau once more. So it's kind of just telling us on the daily that, that the bears are potentially losing that momentum, and that could be shifting. All right, that's really all it's telling us here. We came down to bounce off of 30 on the RSI. And the great thing about this, again, this doesn't explain or just kind of tell us or give us confirmation we're going to come right back up to the 70, 75 cent range. But what it does tell us is that we bounced off of 30 on the RSI recently. We had a pretty significant little week. Okay, we had about a 40% increase in that time frame. So if we have a similar scenario here, and we take it from there, that same distance of travel would put us in the 50 to 60 cent range, perhaps over the next 5 trading days. Okay, so again, we need some stability from Bitcoin in order for this to happen. If Bitcoin can go just all but sideways for the next week, Bitcoin just say gets stuck on stupid at 30, 31,000, then Algorand will probably continue to progress back up to where it came from. It will only do that if Bitcoin has some stability though, okay? All right, so that's kind of where we're at with the daily here. With the RSI bounce, it's really looking good. It does imply we have more room left. And again, Bitcoin has a similar structure on its RSI where it kind of dipped down below 30 and now it's breaking back up above. Kind of just telling us that it's overextended to the downside, yes, but the likelihood of it recovering over the next few days, because everything, what goes up must come down, what goes down must come up, it's one of those inevitabilities where the price is probably going to increase. Either way, that's kind of where we're at there. Taking a look at the 7 moving average, we can see we're testing the 20 SMA right now at this point, tentatively getting rejected, but you can also argue the same thing for Bitcoin too. It's a very similar structure there. But we're under 50 in the RSI, so until we break back up above, I would say a closure over 50 cents would effectively put us there. And right now getting kind of stuck out at 48 isn't fantastic. But again, it's not terrible either, because we do have a MACD convergence here that formed yesterday evening, and that does tell us that in the midterm, the 4-hour time frame, the momentum has shifted bullishly. All right. So all we need is continue to make higher highs and higher lows in the 4-hour to allow that to translate into the daily, and then we start seeing some results. So it's too early to say that we're back on track, but it's looking good. All right. Another thing to note too, we're at 7 here potentially. So as per usual, when you see a 9, there's typically either a reversal, which this one got stopped out, or a continuation to the same, sideways essentially. We saw a 9 here as well, so 2 9s in a row really just kind of tells us that Algorand got really overextended to the downside. That was a terrible, 72-hour period for Algorand, and at this point we're up to a 7 now. We could experience the price action going sideways for a little bit longer to consolidate at support at 48. So 48 cents, if we get a nice consolidation there, perhaps just say a 1-day candlestick close above, we'll be in probably pretty decent shape to be able to see the price continue higher. All right, once again, similar behavior to Bitcoin, and it's important to acknowledge that. But taking a look at the 1 hour, a lot of coins are right at this point where they're either above or breaking above the cloud. Now we haven't broken above the cloud yet, got technically rejected by the upper lead, but we are within the cloud right now. So what that does tell us is it tells us that conversion line being above the baseline and the lagging span being free and clear of any price action is really a good sign, kind of letting us understand that we are almost on the right side of the tracks. And I say almost because we want to break this lead here first. But if we just average sideways for another 5 to 10 hours, we'll naturally be back up above the cloud, and then we should expect the price to continue higher. Okay. The reason why this is important is because we haven't been back up above the cloud in some time. I mean, look at this, it's been 5 days for Algorand. And for Bitcoin, it's been like 9 days for it to be stuck underneath that cloud. So that's really important to acknowledge and to understand, in the sense that Algorand, albeit looking very good here in the recent past, we still haven't truly broken above yet. All right. So again, until that happens, I would just say exercise some caution. We could see the price action retrace further, but if Bitcoin continues to progress sideways and just say close over 30,200 today, we should be just fine to see Algorand slowly progress over the weekend. Okay. We also want to just quickly understand here Bitcoin dominance as well. So you can kind of understand also that Bitcoin dominance is kind of breaking even here, which basically just means that with Bitcoin kind of going sideways and the dominance going sideways, not a lot of alts are taking that capitalization. So if Bitcoin dominance starts to come down, which we're hoping for, then altcoins will start to increase. Okay. So there's this significant increase here was right, like this is like the point in which Bitcoin was down at 27,000. So when Bitcoin dominance spikes up, it's actually a bad thing in a lot of ways, at least in the general sense of altcoins getting stopped out, or just people are selling all their profitable altcoins and they all went straight down. So Bitcoin dominance goes up naturally because then they're investing all their income into that low price point from Bitcoin. It's 27 to 30,000. So hopefully you got in at that point, but regardless, that conversation is for another day. But if you want to watch my Bitcoin video and understand more about how that works, please feel free to do so. But at this point, Algorand, it's looking pretty good. But just keep in mind, most coins are exuding similar behaviors right now because it's that natural knee-jerk reaction to kind of bouncing off of the lowest potential point at this moment. Right? Bitcoin is or has tentatively tested its lowest point in basically 2 years almost. So I mean, ever since it went on its meteoric rise in January of 2021, it's interesting. We'll just say it that way. So anyways, I hope you understand what I'm getting at here and this made sense. And if so, comment below. If not, that's okay too. Perhaps another video will speak to you. I record videos daily, of course. But my Bitcoin, I review Bitcoin every single day, and we're also covering Luna a lot too, just based on the crazy nonsensical stuff that's going on there as well. So I hope you can, again, keep learning as much as you can. It's important to do that. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I really do deeply appreciate your support. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again.